What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Kaiza-Sama, and we are back with another Dragon Ball Daima episode review. So, if you guys are new here, drop that like and sub for your boy. Make sure you have those post notifications turned on so you know whenever I drop a new video. If you go to my channel, you will see my playlist for the Daima episode reviews, my gaming showcases, and my figure reviews. So, if any of those pique your interest, you can always go to my playlist. Now, without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. Now, with this episode review, we are picking up right where we left off with episode 10. And basically, we see Neva, he's approaching the ship just as they are about to take off as far as Glorio, Pansy, and the gang. So they all get out of the ship and they go up to acknowledge Neva. And Neva reveals that he is, one of the older legendary Nameks of the planet, or I should say of the demon realm. And once he notices that they have one of the Dragon Balls from the demon realm, Neva, he starts to act, kind of senile and older, as if like he doesn't know what's going on and whatnot. You see that once he, puts up this front and he wants to go with them, he automatically just wants to jump in the ship, go collect the Dragon Balls with him. But Piccolo, he ends up calling him out pretty quickly on his BS, and he, kind of ask him, why did he come to Earth with Goma, and why did they make the wishes that they made, or the wish that they made. And Neva, he basically just reveals straight up that he had nothing to do with turning them into kids. He, was really just there to assist Goma with, his wish to Shenron. But he also reveals that he predicted that Goma was going to kidnap Dende. And with that being said, we can all really just get a feel that Neva is kind of like this secretive, kind of sneaky character that I feel like in the future, he's either going to be one of those characters that's going to provide a negative impact to Goku and the gang, or he's actually just going to be kind of like a neutral, like an anti type of character to where he doesn't really help them that much. If anything, he really just puts them on the right path. You know what I mean? But as far as like just coming along to just help them, I don't think that's really the case. But hey, he may end up being, a good character, but you can just see from this scene, that, how he acts is just kind of off sometimes. But we do get Pansy, how she asks Neva if he created the Tamagamis, and we get the whole backstory that Neva, he did create the Tamagamis because once he made the Dragon Balls down in the demon realm, they were actually meant for the Nameks of the demon realm to use them as like a reward. But being started to use the Dragon Balls for their own, mischievous needs and for their own greed and whatnot. So that was the very point where Neva actually went on to create the Tamagamis. And once he created the Tamagamis, it was basically, the Tamagamis now standing guard over the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, and they were no longer being used as often as they used to. Pansy, she goes on to ask Neva if he's that powerful to create the Tamagamis, why doesn't he just become the Supreme Demon King? And Neva basically reveals that he doesn't use his power for conflict. Everybody kind of turns to Piccolo in this kind of comedic manner, but we all know why Piccolo uses his power for combat and whatnot. So we do get the scene that Neva, he jumps in the ship with them, and he's going to go with them because he is the main one that knows the chant for the dragon down here for the wishes. So being that Piccolo doesn't know the chant, he's been on Earth for too long. Goku, tries to confirm that with Piccolo, but Piccolo says, no, I've been away from here too long to even know the chant. So they end up basically saying that they have no choice but to take Neva with them. So with that being said, we see that Neva is now riding along with them throughout the demon realms, and we see that Vegeta, he's going to fight the next Tamagami. He goes ahead and he confirms that with Goku, so Goku isn't surprised. And Goku is surprised, of course, because I don't know how Goku thinks of equality in his head, but I guess he just had the assumptions that he was going to fight all three of the Tamagamis, and I'm just sitting here like, Goku, this man is like low key selfish sometimes, bro. But we see how Vegeta confirms that, and Neva confirms that different people can fight the Tamagami. So we see that, it's confirmed Vegeta is going to be fighting the next Tamagami, which is Tamagami number 2. Now, we do end up seeing in the next panel how Dr. Arinsu, she's now here with Marba once again to create this next iteration of this Majin creature. Now, what Dr. Arinsu ends up doing on this particular scene, she ends up adding the rest of the Majin Buu essence that she went back in time and got. Now, Marba, she's kind of just, head in, all, hands in with this plan, because she just agrees that the last abomination, such as Majin Ku, was not that bright of a creation, even though Majin Ku kind of brags on himself in the scene. Dr. Arinsu says that he really has nothing to be proud of. And as they speak on this new iteration of Majin Du, Dr. Arinsu, or I should say Marba, tells Dr. Arinsu that they're going to plant it 10 centimeters. They're going to plant the Cyberman seed 10 centimeters this time to make the overall effect of the creature more powerful. But Dr. Arinsu says, you know what, plant it all the way down to 20 centimeters. And Marba gets just like thrown off by this whole statement. She's like, what are you talking about? If we do that, then there's a possibility this thing is going to go like berserk. And basically, there's a possibility this thing could get to the extent of the power of like Majin Buu. Even though he's going to end up being the fat iteration of Majin Buu, we don't know if he can actually evolve like Majin Buu did, back in Dragon Ball Z. So we end up seeing how they put the rest of this essence into the last project. And as they take it outside, they're planting the seed deep down. And Majin Ku asks Dr. Arinsu if he's going to be his little brother. And Dr. Arinsu basically says, I guess so. And, we get this comedic moment where Majin Ku dances around. He's all happy that he now has a brother. And, it's kind of just ironic because it's like, dude, you've literally only been alive for like 2 days. Like, what are you talking about? So we get this scene where Majin Ku is, all happy and whatnot to see that he's going to be having a brother. And once we see the very essence of this new Majin Buu creature, we do see, like I said, it is like a fat Majin Buu. And once we see that he's born, Marba calls him Majin Du. And now that he's here, we see that he has some of these same, chocolate cravings as Majin Buu. And when he first arrives, he says, Incha. Now, Incha, how everybody raises their hand, Dr. Marba, or I said Dr. Marba, Dr. Arinsu, Majin Ku, they all raise their hands. And it's basically how should I put it? It's basically like a throwback to Dr. Slump. If you guys are fans of Toriyama's older work, we see that, there are some kind of like Easter eggs throughout this show. When we see relevation to other shows and other movies such as Star Wars, then like I just said, Dr. Slump, because Orale, that was one of her, how should I say it? It's one of her like signature greetings, or like something about her attack or something like that. She says Incha, and that was the first thing that Majin Du came up out of the mountain saying. He would say Incha, and everybody would raise their hand. It was basically just a callback scene to Dr. Slump and how Orale, how she used to say that. And we see, like I said, how he's demanding for chocolate. And we basically see how Dr. Arinsu, she wants Majin Du to get up to Tamagami number 1 so he can go in and challenge him. Now, we do move over to the next scene and like the next part of the episode where Vegeta and Goryo and the gang, they finally reach Tamagami number 2. And we see He resides kind of like in this Atlantic type of setting that's more surrounded by water. And once we meet this Tamagami number two, we end up seeing how he's not really that much of a difference from like the other Tamagamis, but we do see that his demeanor and how he approaches the fight sometimes it can be a tad bit different because he automatically assumes that Vegeta, just because he's a child, he's, you got to be joking. But when we saw Tamagami number three, we saw, we saw that Tamagami number three was never really saying things like that to Goku. So it gives me this feeling that, Tamagami number two, he can be a tad bit more, I guess, not egotistical, but, he can be a tad bit more confident than Tamagami number three, whereas number three was more so of this, fair fighter. He's kind of laid back just a little bit, but once the fighting started to get more serious, then you would start to see, him get serious. But we see right off the bat how Vegeta, his demeanor kind of matches up with his Tamagami number two as he tells him, once the fight starts, you won't be saying that. And Tamagami just smiles and he's, pumped up by it. But then he looks out into the distance and he sees Neva standing out there. Now, once he sees Neva standing out there, he confirms like, oh, well, you must really be serious. So once they're about to get the fight started, and once we see that the fight is about to start, we also pan over to Majin Buu starting his fight with Tamagami number one. And we see right off the bat how he's not really showing that he's that serious. I guess just like in his moves, bouncing around and whatnot, he's kind of fighting very similar to Majin Buu. We see how Majin Buu, he gives him, some confidence. He cheers for him on the sidelines. And Dr. Arensu, she's kind of questioning if he's even going to be all right. But we see when the fight starts, Majin Buu actually has a lot more durability, and it seems like he has more fighting prowess than Majin Buu. Whereas when we saw Majin Buu fight, it was more so this kind of like joking around, kind of like this, like we were watching a clown fight. But when we see Majin Buu fight, it is a tad bit more serious in the sense that he is a lot more powerful than Majin Buu. And we definitely see the difference in their powers because we see that in this fight with Majin Buu and Tamagami number one, there are moments where he actually gets, the lead over Tamagami. He's hitting him with these kicks and punches here and there, and we see that he's actually getting the advantage over him in the fight in certain moments. But we see that Tamagami number one, he's still fighting back, he's still blasting him. And we just basically overall see that Majin Buu is a much more formidable creature than Majin Buu ever was. And I feel like later on in the series, there's a possibility we're going to see them actually combine, or, we could see Majin Buu actually absorb Majin Buu, and we could see a whole new Majin creature just come about, something that probably might throw off Marba and Dr. Arensu to the point where they never really thought that was even going to happen. So once we pan back over to the fight with Vegeta, and we see how, he's starting this fight with Tamagami number two, we see that Pansy, she is kind of, questionable if Vegeta is like as strong as Goku, basically. But we quickly see that once they begin, Vegeta is holding off Tamagami number two pretty, I won't say easily, but he's doing it, pretty well. He's dodging, a lot of the lance throws from Tamagami number two, because we see that instead of the hammer from Tamagami number three, Tamagami number two has the lance. So it's kind of like that sea trident lance, that we see from Little Mermaid, or, just from different designs of like different water creatures, Aquaman and stuff like that. So he does have the lance, and we see that Vegeta is able to dodge some of these, throws, some of these attacks from Tamagami number two. And a lot of people were hoping, or, it was going around that he was actually going to go Super Saiyan 3 in this episode as far as Vegeta. And I am here to confirm he does not go Super Saiyan 3 in this episode. Now, will he go Super Saiyan 3 in the next episode? It is very, very possible because it has already been confirmed that Vegeta is going to go Super Saiyan 3 within Daima. It's just a matter of time of when that's actually going to take place and all that good stuff. So we do have to just be patient on that. Now, between this scene of Vegeta getting knocked into the water from Tamagami number 2 and basically encountering the squid, or I should say the Kraken, we see that the Kraken, is kind of like almost eating Vegeta up, but Vegeta uses his, Saiyan like flying energy power, and he flies up out of the water and he continues his fight with Tamagami number 2. But as we pan back over to Majin Buu in his fight with Tamagami number 1, like I was just saying, we see him really just getting the one up on Tamagami number 1. How he's actually, getting him with blasts in the back. He's dodging, a lot of his attempts to hit him. And we basically just see overall that with this episode, Majin Buu is definitely not like Majin Buu. So there's, a lot more to look forward to when we, see him in action. And then, like I was just saying, with Vegeta having this encounter with the Kraken, we see that he does get knocked back again by Tamagami number 2. And once he does, he goes into the mouth of the Kraken. And, of course, it's just like this big, cliffhanger, basically, of whether or not Vegeta survived, if he's going to blast out of the Kraken next episode or something like that. So I feel like we are probably going to see something like that. There's no way Vegeta's just going to get swallowed up by the Kraken. So we're definitely going to get more action out of this fight within the next episode. So I feel like people shouldn't judge too fast. But now that we have reached the climax and the end of it, one of my main theories is that, like I was just saying, Majin Buu is definitely going to be a very powerful asset to Dr. Orensu's, little plan, or master plan that she has in mind to more than likely dethrone Goma, and she's needing Glorio to kind of fulfill certain missions upon his behalf so that, what he does and what she does comes together with the Dragon Balls. And, Vegeta, Goku, and the gang, they're going to see how Glorio kind of, turned on them, how they really couldn't trust him like that, and they end up wanting to fight Glorio. And we could see Dr. Orensu actually give Glorio power, or Glorio is going to reveal a certain level of power that we never saw him with, beforehand. So I do feel like a lot of stuff is going to start unraveling within these future episodes. Then, like I was saying, Neva, I definitely have some conspiracies about him. I feel like he's definitely, moving with some mischievous acts, behind the shadows here and there, even though he tries to act senile and dumb, like he doesn't know too much. He's definitely got his own plans too. So, but with that being said, let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about this episode. Tell me, guys, what you thought about Majin Buu, what you thought about that fight, and let me know, what you thought about seeing Vegeta finally throw hands. He was getting in some good punches on Tamagami number 2. We was seeing that classic da 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 da. He was just going in on Tamagami number 2, man. So, like I was saying, let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about the series. I will make a separate video just kind of retaining to some comments that people have about Daima and as far as real Dragon Ball fans and stuff like that. So I am going to make a different video kind of separate from, my episode reviews, so we can really dive into the meat and potatoes of what people expect out of Dragon Ball coming in the near future. So we will dive into that. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. You guys take care. You guys be safe. Be easy. Peace.